Hello once again, everybody. I know I've been posting a lot of videos here, and I was planning on taking it easy and sitting back and watching a really good basketball game, but unfortunately Michigan State didn't feel they wanted to play a good basketball game. It was halftime, and North Carolina's up by about 20 points. So I figure I'd make another presentation here, and I wanted to do this because I just recently posted a game in the Classic Games series of Carlos Torre, and we're going to have another one of his games here today, but this is for tactical pattern recognition, and this is a technique called the Windmill Technique. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the Windmill Technique, but it is a use of the bishop and usually a heavy piece, a queen and rook, or queen or rook rather. Sometimes it can actually be a knight that gets involved in it. And right here I have a puzzle for you, and I'd like you to see if you can solve this. It's white to move and win. Right now white is down a piece, so you'd have to find something pretty good in order to win from this position. Okay, I'm not going to give the answer right now. We're going to look at the game Torre versus Lasker in Moscow, 1925. And this might, this might give you a good idea of how to solve the puzzle that we just showed you, and we'll bring that up at the end of this game. Now, again, I'm not going to be too concerned with the opening here. Torre was white and Emmanuel Lasker was black. And if you've ever seen that movie Chess Fever, it was showing a tournament played in Moscow in 1925, and it was indeed this tournament. And they showed Torre in quite a few of those clips. And Torre plays this naturally, right? And what do we call it? The Levitsky attack. No, this is the Torre. So he played c5, e3, cd, ed, bishop e7, knight bd2, d6, c3, knight bd7, bishop to d3, b6, knight c4, bishop b7, queen to e2, queen to c7, castle short, rook fe1, rook fe8, rook ad1, knight f8, bishop c1. Kind of a bit of a luxury. Now that the queen rook is on the queen 1 square or the d1 square, the bishop can come back, allowing for the other pieces to fill in where the bishop is left. Knight to d5 and knight to g5. It'd be nice to trade that knight for the black bishop. b5, knight a3. Now this knight looks kind of questionable on the side of the board, but it can always come back around to c2 to e3, and then maybe to g4, or help make a push of f4, f5 type thing. So it's not that far out of whack. Knight takes b4, queen to h5. Now the threat is bishop takes h7, and also queen takes f7. So we'll see that knight takes d3 is not the best right here, because the queen takes f7, king to h8, and rook takes d3. Now, black can probably survive this attack, but white's up a pawn, and he has the initiative. So, I'd rather be white in this position, because I think that white would be able to bust through. But we're not too concerned about that just yet. Black decided to clip off this knight right now, which makes sense because the f7 square was hit. And now bishop takes g5. And now he takes on d3, and after rook takes d3, he plays queen to a5. And this is designed to pin the bishop to the queen. Okay, he played b4. He'd like to pull that queen off of the defense of that bishop. And black is certainly not worse off after he takes the pawn. Queen takes a4, rook to b1, queen to a5, and now knight to c4. You don't want to play rook takes because of queen to e1 is checkmate. But after knight to c4, things look equal to me. So after b4, Lasker played queen to f5, and actually I think black is a little bit better here. I don't think that white's attack is going to come through, and certainly Lasker is a master of defending. I don't know what happened to him in this game. White played rook to g3, he played h6, and now knight to c4. And probably the best thing for black to do here is just to play h takes g5, knight takes d6, with a pretty much even game. But he played queen to d5, and now Tori played knight to e3. White could play queen takes d4, rook d1, queen to e4, and then bishop takes h6, and I think white has a slight lead here, slight advantage, but it's nothing compared to what happened in the game. In the game, Lasker played queen to b5, and here you can pause the video and see if you can find the answer. It's a rather spectacular one, and it was certainly in the style of Carlos Tori. Okay, I hope that you looked at it and that you found bishop to f6. A very good move. And now Lasker played queen takes h5, and now we see what is known as the windmill technique. Rook takes g7 check. The king has only one square to go to. King to h8. Rook takes f7 with discover check. Nothing can capture the bishop, nothing can jump in between, only one move for the king. Now rook to g7 check. Now back to h8, it's the only move. And now rook takes b7 check, picking up the piece over there. There's only one move for black. And then rook to g7 check. Then king to h8, and then rook to g5 with discovered check. And the rest is purely a rout, because after king to h7, it's the only legal move. Rook takes queen, king to g6, rook to h3. Now he took the bishop. Rook takes the pawn check. And we'll just breeze through these because white's just absolutely winning. He's 3 pawns up, and there's no chance for black to stay in the game. He tried rook to eb8, rook to g3 check, king to f6, rook to f3 check, king to g6, a3 protecting the pawn, a5, b takes a5, rook takes a5, now knight to c4 protecting the pawn and hitting the pawn on d6. After rook to d5, rook to f4 protecting that pawn, knight to d7, rook takes e6 check, king to g5 and g3. And Lasker finally resigned at this point. Let's look at that. Yeah, black is down 4 pawns now. So it's interesting to see this windmill technique. And let's just kind of run through it in fast motion. And, you know, some people call it the seesaw technique, some call it the windmill. And you can see where it gets its name. It's like you're caught up in a windmill. Or a seesaw. And then white wins gobs of material. Okay then, now that's a rather interesting queen sacrifice, but when you know that technique, believe it or not, it's not that complicated. I wonder if Lasker knew about it. Well, I'm sure he knew something of it, but he thought he was going to get out better than that. I don't know what happened in his thinking there. And it's very unusual for such a great player like Emanuel Lasker to go down like that. Okay, so let's go back to our beginning puzzle here. If you were playing the white pieces, what would you do? If you still haven't come up to a decision, pause the video and take a few moments to look at this. Okay, if you pause the video, then you probably found rook to g4. Well, the threat is not only rook takes pawn, that's the obvious one, but it's also queen takes queen. But hey, can't black play queen takes queen as well? Yes, he can. And now we have rook takes g7 check, king to h8, rook takes f7 check, king to g8, rook to g7 check, king to h8, rook takes the bishop on a7 with discovered check. There's still only one move, rook to g7 check, king to h8. And how would you close it out here? If you were white, what would you do for this move? Okay. If you saw rook to d7, that concludes the combination. Now hopefully you saw this before playing rook to g4, because if you didn't, then the sacrifice would not have been sound. But the king only has one square to go to, and then you play rook takes queen, and white is up by 2 pawns. Now, considering you started out in this position, down a piece, to end up in this position, up 2 pawns, is quite an achievement. So look it through one more time, and you can kind of, you can follow it now that you've seen it. Rook to g4, queen takes queen on d3. Rook takes g7, king only has h8 to go to. Rook takes f7, discovered check, king has to go back to g8. Rook to g7 check, king has to go to h8. Rook takes bishop, discovered check, king has to go back to g8. Rook to g7 check, king has to go back to h8. And then rook to d7, discovered check, king has to go back to g8. And then rook takes queen. Let's play through it one more time. Rook g4, queen takes d3, rook takes pawn, king moves. Rook takes pawn, discovered check, king moves. Rook checks again, king moves. Rook takes bishop, king moves. Rook g7 check, king moves. Rook to d7, the final discovered check, king moves, and now rook takes d3. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this little presentation, and I hope that you'll use this technique whenever possible in your own games. Until next time, good luck and good chess.